Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to be talking about Chainlink. We're going to be looking at the price on a linear scale, on a log scale. We're going to be looking at the return on investment over various time frames and comparing that as well with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and check out this Telegram channel as well. You can find it in the description below. And we have over 2,400 people. Would love to have more people join, especially if if you're a fan of Link and you want to discuss these charts with other people. So if you're not familiar with Chainlink, the general idea is that it connects, the blockchain with real world data, and through oracles, brings this data on, verifies it onto the blockchain, and integrates it with smart contracts. So if you guys, I would say go ahead and investigate more on your own, but we're going to be focusing more on the price analysis in this video. So you can see that, since inception, we essentially have this, the price, it had a run back in 2017. But one of the interesting things about Link is that it's actually gone on to much higher highs than what it saw back in 2017. So in a sense, it's a light in the bear market. Most coins, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, among many other coins, have not been able to reach their previous all-time high, and have certainly not seen ROIs as good as Link's has been in the last year. So for this reason, we're going to be going through this and through a number of various charts. So let's go ahead and move forward and look to see what kind of trends we can draw. So the first one, we're going to note that we're just drawing imaginary lines. They are essentially meaningless, but the idea is just to try to look at the macro level picture, try to identify potential entry points, potential exit points. Ultimately, Link has been performing outstanding during a bear market. So it's kind of interesting to think about what might happen if we get to a bull market, because in a bull market, so when Bitcoin is holding, say, the 20-week moving average, that is when coins typically really start to move. Also, when, say, Bitcoin gets to its previous all-time high, that's when coins start to move. But with Link, it doesn't really show much of a correlation to Bitcoin, which is out of the ordinary for basically most other coins. So if we were to just draw some trend lines, you can see various points that we have tested this trend line here. Again, here's another trend line where we can see the tops are coming out there. But ultimately, when we're dealing with a scale that runs, from cents to dollars, it's more prudent to actually use a logarithmic scale. That way we can identify, percentage moves easier than if it were on a linear scale, because basically on a linear scale, it tends to dwarf things over here. These moves are dwarfed by later on when the absolute value of the price is changing a lot more, but the percentage might not be. So here we're moving it to a logarithmic scale. Let me move my video over there. So if you're not familiar with log scales, then just note that each major tick, so from here to here, is a 10x, and the spacing between these points on the log scale, it gets smaller and smaller. Okay, so it's a good way to identify price movements that span orders of magnitude. So this is what the price of Link has done. Now you can more clearly see the move from 2017. It was still a significant move, but the price has gone on to higher highs back in July 2019 and has even broken that since, which is still very impressive during the uncertain times that we have. So if we were to just draw these trend lines on a log scale, we can basically see we have these points down here where it seems to be a good region to buy, these points at the top, a good region to sell. And if we were to draw, say, our uncertainty band or something, because obviously price doesn't always make it up to the top, and obviously price won't always make it down to the bottom, but we could say that, okay, when price is in this band, it's historically a really good time to be buying Link. Not to say that the present time is necessarily a bad time, but typically, when we look at these macro level moves, it wouldn't you can imagine if Bitcoin were to say drop to the 200 week, it might affect Link. I mean, certainly the last drop seemed to have affected it, but again, it's already started moving back up. So, anyways, this green band currently is pretty low. So I don't really anticipate us getting there, not anytime soon. Currently, if we were to drop there, it would actually be less than $1. If we were to draw a trend line down more, say the middle of the pack, and note that, say this is an undervalued area, an undervalued region over here. Maybe if it's up here, we could say, okay, it's definitely overvalued in the short term. But the nice thing is time is on our side. So as long as we just keep chugging along, then this trend line is hopefully going to keep going up. So if we were to, the reason why Link has been so impressive is not just its move with respect to the US dollar. Obviously, this is a significant. This has been a significant move. I published a letter called Altcoin Letters. It's part of the premium content. So if you guys want to support the channel, you can find more about that in the description below. But in that letter, we even talk about what if you had invested in, say, weighting your portfolio a while back, by say the inverse of market cap or among other things, and Link is one of the shining lights there. So here we have the price, Link with respect to Bitcoin. So really, I don't even feel like I really need to say that much. I mean, you can see the trend that's going on, and I'm not a huge believer in a lot of traditional technical analysis. I mean, I think ultimately most things are just imaginary lines. People will try to, use various metrics to predict the future, and sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. And when they're right, they make sure that they are right, and when they are wrong, they delete those tweets or never speak in them again. But one of the things that I do believe in strongly, and this has been backed up scientifically by a lot of data, is that it's not anything that remarkable, but it's when an asset is doing well, it tends to continue doing well, more so over, say, an asset that isn't doing well. And you can see that Link is in a pretty clear uptrend. Now, this is with respect to Bitcoin. So it does not seem, a lot of my videos talk about Bitcoin and what Bitcoin's doing and how you manage your portfolio with respect to Bitcoin. But with Link, it seems like it's still in this huge price discovery phase where, people are continuing to pour in. And despite the fact that we've gone through a brutal bear market, the price since 2017 has gone up by over an order of magnitude, whereas most coins during that time have dropped by an order of magnitude. So I think that's really relevant to talk about. If we look at the trend line that we're in and just say, okay, well, where can we potentially identify times to get in, times to maybe get out in the short term. I just drew this line, and if we were to draw, say, various points on here to say, okay, this was support here, here, and here. These are several different support regions. Now, some of you might note, oh, he drew it right there, but I would argue what's a few satoshis among friends, or just looking at general price movements, and then you can see this top of the trend line over here, resistance, 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 resistance. Now, that's not to say we can't break it. Obviously, I don't think that. It certainly won't remain in this trend line forever. That doesn't mean it has to break to the downside. I mean, it could go up, but it is interesting to see that it does tend to respect this line. At least it has since inception. So again, Link with respect to Bitcoin is a very interesting metric to look at, because it'll be very eye-opening to see what happens when we actually get into a bull market, because a lot of people get that euphoria feeling, or they're super ecstatic based on the price, and you have every right to be, because if you've seen an order of magnitude growth in your portfolio that you have in Link, then obviously you're gonna feel happy about that, and we're gonna compare that at the end of the video to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So these are the general channels I drew, noting that this here is typically a buy zone. You can see that we're still right around that buy zone. And I should point out, this is not financial advice. This is just me, uh, you know, talking about the markets, talking about what I see and what I'm doing, not necessarily what I think other people should do. And then up here would be more, say, the sell zone. And again, this is with respect to Bitcoin, not the US dollar. So here we're going to look at the return on investment. So this is the 30-day return on investment. And if you notice, so we know that if it's 1, then that means that the price of Link 30 days later was the same price that you bought it for. So anything above 1 means you're seeing a positive return on investment. If it's below 1, then you're losing money during those 30 days. So remarkably, we have seen a significant amount of the 30-day ROI is actually above 1. And when we do drop below 1, we're not there for very long. And you can see that we've hit a 30-day ROI of 2 or more several times, even during the bear market. If we were to plot it on a log scale, it highlights further the pits of, say, a bear market, and Link was privy to that crash back in the beginning of 2018, but it is recovered. It is more than recovered. If we were to plot the line here of 1, you can see more clearly how frequently your return on investment in Link on a 30-day time period is very good. So if you're someone who's, say, dollar cost averaging your way into Link, then I imagine you're pretty happy with your strategy so far. Here is the 90-day ROI. So the 90-day ROI looks even better, and you can see that the 90-day ROI, we've hit even a 5 or 6x, since this bear market has been going on. We've hit it more than once, 5 to 6x. Not a lot of coins can say that. Here we're showing the 1-year ROI, so the light blue is the 1-year ROI. So you can note that you're running 1-year ROI over the last, say, year is no less than around 3x or so. So had you invested in Link, this goes back to just before July, but what's a few months among friends here? So we're talking about at least seeing almost a 4x ROI in a year if you had invested almost a year before. So I think that's pretty impressive. And again, this is in a bear market, which I think even makes it more impressive. Finally, I posted a tweet about this yesterday, and it seemed to get a lot of people that thought it was interesting. So again, I also do have a Twitter account if people want to follow me there. I do post charts about various coins, polls, other stuff, so you can find that in the description below as well. But here is the running return on investment of Link since inception. So this, the euphoria that a lot of people feel is this, and this is, we haven't even been around 1,000 days, and this is the running ROI that you would have, or sorry, the ROI since inception that you would have seen. So you'd be up currently around 10x had you bought at the very, essentially the very beginning. And now obviously that is somewhat exchange dependent, or exactly where I got the data from. But according to where I got the price, which you can see in the other graphs, it's the same, it's from the same data. We're currently at a 10x ROI. So where does this put us on, say, a scale with, say, like Ethereum or Bitcoin? Well, Ethereum, this is what Ethereum has done. And these have been normalized, again, since inception. Now, the interesting thing that I really, I want to continue to reiterate is this is Ethereum's return on investment during a bull market. This right here, this move. Obviously, we know this was the bear market. This was the bull market. This is Link's return on investment during a cryptocurrency asset class bear market. And we haven't even seen, as nearly as significant as moves as Ethereum has. And again, it's almost just, say, a waiting game. Obviously, there's risk in anything. I think going all in on anything is ridiculous, and diversification is good. Obviously, I just want to put that disclaimer out there. But it would be interesting to see when Bitcoin does establish, say, a bull market and positive sentiment returns to the asset class as a whole, how will Link respond? Because you can see how Ethereum responded during that time when Bitcoin was in a bull market, and so was the rest of the asset class. And then finally, here is the return the return on investment since inception of Bitcoin. So you can imagine, Bitcoin ROI obviously is completely dwarfed Link's. So with Link, it's currently at around a 10x. No, I mean Bitcoin's been around a lot longer, but Link's around a 10x. Bitcoin currently around 10 to the 5. So if you're not sure what that means, it's 100,000x. So you can see Ethereum got up to around, say, from say 100. I mean, this is 100, so this would be, say, like a 500x or so. But that's if you bought here. Had you bought down here, it would have been actually 1,000x, or approximately 1,000x, I think. But anyways, you can see Link has seen a very significant move during the bear market, and what we're ultimately waiting for is for the asset class as a whole to see money pouring into it, because people are going to do the research, and I'm a very big proponent of investing in coins, that have real world utility, that are actually doing something, because there's a lot of coins out there, that aren't really doing much of anything, or people think that they have to return to their previous all-time high just because they were there once upon a time. Just because a coin made it to, 20x what it currently is does not mean it has to do so again. If you go back and look at 2013 and look at a lot of the coins that peaked back then, a lot of those coins failed to reach those previous all-time highs in 2017. A lot of the coins that did go on in 2017 to those amazing gains were newer coins. That just had a lot of people FOMOing in and pouring money in. I think and I hope that people have learned their lesson. I don't. There's obviously going to be some people that are just going to throw their money into coins that are completely worthless. But as I've mentioned before, if you follow the channel, if you're new here, again, please subscribe to the channel. But if you want, you can go back and look at my other videos. We had a video recently talking about the evidence of lengthening cycles, and looking at how this next one's going to be long and drawn out. Not likely peaking in 2021 for Bitcoin, maybe peaking sometime out in 2022, 2023, something like that. So if that's the case, then Link is already looking primed and ready to go. In fact, it's not even really waiting around for the rest of the market. It's doing its own thing, which I think does show that there really is a lot of utility there, because if there weren't, I don't think it would be performing nearly this well. What it's doing is very significant, and trying to bridge the blockchain world with real world data and integrating that into smart contracts. I think it's a remarkable endeavor, and certainly has facilitated the positive price movement of Link over the last couple of years. So we'll continue to follow Link. If you aren't familiar, we do have a couple of Chainlink videos already, so check out the playlist. Again, subscribe to the channel if you want to follow along. I'm not going to make a promise, but I will try to look at logarithmic regression analysis of Chainlink, since we are seeing orders of magnitude of price movement. So if you guys want to see that, then certainly subscribe to the channel. And for anyone who wants to go above and beyond, check out the Patreon channel in the description below. Or if you don't want to support with fiat, you can support with cryptocurrency. But I do publish a weekly newsletter, and also, among many, many other things, we have a private Telegram group. But if that's not your thing, that's completely fine. Check out the public Telegram group there, and feel free to discuss any and all of these charts and tell us what you think. Alright guys, that'll wrap it up for this video. Thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.